So, I just saw Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that one movie that everyone seems to be raving about. It seems to be doing well at the box office, and fans are loving the movie and saying how it's the greatest video game movie adaptation ever. But then again, that's not a very high bar to reach, now is it? Now, I've gone on record on saying that the first Sonic movie was probably the best video game movie that we've ever gotten, but then again, when your competition are things like Mortal Kombat and Detective Pikachu, just about anything is passable. But the first Sonic movie is one that I actually enjoyed quite a bit. Far from a great movie, but it was the most fun that I've had with anything Sonic related since Sonic Generations back in 2011, which really says a lot about the state of the franchise for the past 11 years. But it wasn't exactly a Sonic movie per se, but more so a movie that just so happened to have Sonic in it. Now, there were light nods to the games, yeah, but it was mostly about the friendship between Sonic and the surprisingly likable Tom the Cop. It was a fun, charming movie that you really didn't have to think too hard about. It's an easy watch. Then the sequel was revealed about a year later, and it looked like as if it was going to be ramping things up quite a bit, pulling a lot of lore from the games and having them be an actual part of the movie. You got things like the Master Emerald and gun, but more notably, you got Tails and Knuckles being in the movie, and they looked great. It looked like it was going to be a promising adventure film akin to that of Indiana Jones. I was pretty excited for it. I wasn't losing my mind or losing sleep over it, but I was eager to see how they would follow up the first movie. Now, I watched it fairly late compared to when my friends watched it, and they gave me the impression that the first movie was better for a lot of reasons. That this movie had higher highs, sure, but also had much, much lower lows. That was actually pretty concerning, so I went into the theater with my sister with tempered expectations, and after seeing it, I don't care. This movie was pretty freaking sweet. Again, it's far from a perfect movie, and some of the implications are downright creepy, but I enjoyed this movie a lot more than the first. It has some of the same problems as the first movie, that being that some of the humor is pretty juvenile, but it never felt worse than the first movie in that sense. So while it did hit the same lows, it also hit much higher highs. It was great seeing the returning cast again. I felt everyone did a great job for the most part. Now, Jim Carrey isn't my favorite, admittedly, and there were a few moments in this movie where I felt as if he could have dialed it back a little bit, or that he was being wacky for the sake of wacky. However, I do really like his new look, and he was entertaining through and through. He was even kind of creepy towards the climax of the movie, which was kind of weird, but man, I was all for it. That whole part at the end with him, that was pretty fucking cool. Tom and Maddie, I also really enjoyed in the first movie, and while I do enjoy them here as well, I just wish that they had more interesting things to do. I would really like to see them return for the third movie. I'm not going to be one of those goons that thinks that, oh, humans have no place in Sonic, and Sonic shouldn't have blue arms and green eyes. What is this? I'm not one of those people, but what I am saying is that if they're going to be in the next movie, maybe don't have them relegated to an unrelated B-plot. Which for a lot of people, that was one of the detractions from the movie. It was the whole wedding in Hawaii subplot. I knew about this going in. I went into the theater thinking that it would be super cringy and awful because that's how a lot of people were making it out to be. And man, I don't know, humor's subjective and all that, but they're not wrong in the sense where the wedding bit was unrelated. I was laughing my ass off a number of times during that thing. I don't know if that says anything about me, but I thought it was funny. What can I say? Yeah, sure, maybe the movie would have been better off if the scenes didn't drag on for as long as they did. But who am I to complain when I was entertained, Back on the topic of the returning cast, Ben Schwartz is back as Sonic, and I really do enjoy this more childlike version of the character that he portrays. It was really cute in the first movie, but here we get to see him come more into his own. Sonic in this movie is childish in the best possible way. He has his head and his heart in the right place, but then when the going gets tough, he takes the situations seriously. Like how he's supposed to. This movie version of Sonic is the Sonic that I've been asking for from the recent games. This version of Sonic is Sonic. Maybe it's not one-to-one like how it used to be, but he's on the right track. And speaking of which, it's refreshing to have versions of Tails and Knuckles that aren't insufferable. It's awesome that they got Colleen back from the games to do Tails for the movie, and she absolutely crushes it. It really goes to show that she has a great voice for Tails, and all she needed was the right direction. Tails doesn't get a lot to do, and his introduction is a bit rushed, but there were so many moments where he melted my heart. He's timid, he's unsure of himself, but he never comes off as whiny or overdramatic like how he does in some of the recent games. Though I will say, there was this one scene where he was really creepy, and if you've seen the movie, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But aside from that one scene, they did Tails very well here. Like, it's 2022. I'm saying that I like Tails in something recent Sonic related. What a world. It can happen. As for Knuckles, man, they did it. Like, they made Knuckles an actual character for the first time in years. And it actually reminded me of something. When I was a kid, Knuckles used to be my favorite Sonic character. Like, he's stubborn and strong-willed while also being weirdly calm and layered. You know, he was never a brainlet, he was a fish out of water. When my sister and I walked out of the movie theater, she said that she really liked Knuckles in this movie and that he reminded her a lot of Thor. And, you know, that's kind of like when it clicked. You know, I guess he's kind of supposed to be like that, right? You know, someone who's just in his own world, doing his own thing, and people react to that. Knuckles was easily the best part of the movie, and Idris Elba killed it. You know, I would go as far to say that this is my favorite voice for Knuckles, and this is also probably my favorite version of Knuckles that we've gotten, period. And man, when Sonic and Knuckles throw down, you know, shit gets nuts. Like, the action overall is a lot better than the first movie, and there are even some moments in this film that gave off, like, light Dragon Ball Z vibes, which for Sonic, I think that works very well. Like, I don't know, like, I really enjoyed this movie, and, like, it has a lot of problems. Like, if you ran through it with the fine-tooth comb, you're going to have a field day. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that doesn't make any sense, and sometimes bad things happen to the characters because they don't take a second to, you know, think about what they're doing. Like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff in this movie. And I know it's going to sound like as if I'm making excuses, but when the movie got so much right, you know, it's hard for me to really care all that much. You know what I mean? Like, there's a decent amount of world building, the characters grow from where they left off from the first movie, the action's a lot better, the set pieces are bigger. You know, it felt like an actual Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And in a lot of ways, I got what I wanted out of this one, so I can walk out of the theater happy. And I'm not trying to hype this up like as if it's the best movie of the year, because, you know, clearly Morbius got this in the bag, but much like the first movie, it does what it sets out to do very well. You know, it's charming, it's fun, it's got a lot of heart. I just really enjoyed the movie, and I will gladly recommend it to anybody who wants to have a good time. I usually don't do this, but if I had to give it like a number score, like between 1 to 10, you know, I'd probably give it like an 8. You know, it gets a solid B out of me. There's a lot of problems, and there are some really stupid moments, and I don't understand why these movies have to have dancing sequences when they're not really that funny. But hey, I guess it's just a thing. But honestly, you know, I could put those moments aside and can enjoy the movie for what it is. And now, with all that said, you know, those are my general thoughts on the movie. Can we talk a little bit about these spoilers, because they do some pretty wild shit in this movie, and I was not expecting it. Now, first of all, mad respects for paying homage to Sonic 06 of all things. Like, during the final fight, you know, the last blow that Sonic deals on Eggman's giant robot is literally pulled from the first cutscene from Sonic 06. That takes a lot of balls, Jeff, okay? You fucking madman. Good on you. Also, the whole Supersonic fight was great. You know, Supersonic looked incredible. I saw Supersonic on the big screen. I thought that was really cool. And of course, that damn post-credit scene. Now, I actually knew what it was going into the theater. I actually watched the leak video that was floating around because, hey, I was curious about it, and I'm not really all that worried about spoilers, but if you don't know, it's Shadow. You know, Shadow the Hedgehog is going to be in Sonic 3, and you bet your bit that I'm excited for that. But it was not the reveal of Shadow himself that got me excited. It was actually what was said when they were building up to his reveal. How they found buried records from over 50 years ago. See, like, it's not surprising that Shadow is going to be in the third movie. Like, to me, that just made sense because Shadow is crazy popular, so of course you'd want him in the third movie. But I was convinced that they would tweak his backstory to make it that Gun made Shadow as a response to Sonic's existence. You know, it's like, oh, we gotta be ready because there's another like an Ultron kind of thing, you know? Like, I kind of figured that that's what they would do with Shadow, but they didn't do that. They said that this shit was from 50 years ago, and they straight up called it Project Shadow. And again, you know, maybe this is like member berries talking, you know, but it's just, I'm surprised that they actually went that extra mile. They pulled from Sonic Adventure 2, and honestly, the kind of things that it implies, you know, what we might get for this next movie, I mean, if they go in the direction that I think they might be going in, shit's gonna get nutty. And again, like, if you just think about it, they said it's from 50 years ago. Like, are we going to talk about Gerald Robotnik? Are we really getting that? Or are we going to see Maria in the next movie? Are we going to do Maria? I don't know if I can handle that. But I want to get back to like the actual reveal of Shadow because, I mean, shit was nuts, man. When the audience saw Shadow, the theater exploded in the build-up, too. It's like, you know, they had the line from it being from 50 years ago. And like that moment, people started to freak out. Like there's a lot of gasps and a lot of whispers going around and people started talking. But then when the tube containing Shadow appeared, everybody went mental. Like I saw the scene before watching the movie and I got caught up in the excitement. I'm telling you, man, that shit works. But see, like this is what I've been talking about for so long. Like this means that like all of these clowns that run around talking shit about, oh, Sonic's dumb friends, you know, they don't know what they're talking about. You know, the whole, oh, it should just be Sonic and humans don't belong in Sonic. No one but edgelords like Shadow, or you only care about these stupid characters because you grew up with them and blah. Like for so fucking long, we've been spoon-fed this bullshit. But, you know, hearing people get this excited for the character that supposedly no one really cares for, you have no idea how good that felt. You know, it proved once and for all that these people were wrong. You know, that these characters and these stories and these adventures, they actually mean something to people. You know, this movie proved that these things matter. You know, this is why so many people like myself love the Sonic the Hedgehog series. You know, it's the story, it's the characters, it's the world building. It's a part of what makes the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise what it is. There's no denying it. But also, here's some more food for thought. You know, if we're gonna get Shadow in this next movie, then there's also a chance that we might see Super Shadow in Sonic 3. And if that happens, Jeff, this will be the first time in almost 20 years that Shadow has gone super. Just let that sink in. But yeah, like if you can't tell, I very much enjoyed my time with the Sonic movie. You know, it's even to the point where I'm not too sure if I even care much about these games anymore. Like, you know, Sega has given me no reason to believe that something like Sonic Origins or Sonic Frontiers will be good. You know, they're both slated to release this year, and we still haven't had any gameplay showed off for either of these games. Yeah, we got something like Kingdom Hearts 4, got announced this year. We don't know when it's going to be coming out, but we got gameplay for that. Like, can we please stop defending Sega's lack of transparency? The point is that these Sonic movies have delivered so far. You know, they're fun, they're easy to watch, these characters feel like themselves. Like, it felt like seeing friends that you haven't seen in years, you know? Like, the people making these movies understand why we love Sonic. Again, like, after years and years of telling Sega that they're messing up these stories, they're messing up these characters, you know, we've finally been heard. So, to Jeff Fowler, to everyone in the cast, to everyone who made this possible, thank you. This was very much needed. You know, not saying like this movie saved the world, but fuck, man, I needed this. I had a really good time with this, and I was able to forget about everything that happened, and I was able to have fun for like the first time in what felt like forever. So, thank you. Thank you again, you know, and best of luck to everyone on Sonic 3.